Can I get you to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Binky, which is B-I-N-K-Y Beaumont, B-E-A-U-M-O-N-T, and I'm from Gandeys World Class Productions.
You are a world-leading organisation, aren't you, with circus industry? And
yeah, we're second only in the world to Cirque du Soleil in terms of the diverse number of productions we tour, and of course of the size of the productions, from ice shows to theatre tours to television, Cirque du Celebrity. We've done the after-show party at the Brit Awards. We send a unit for the last 5 years to Hong Kong for Christmas. We've sent one out to Singapore. We send productions and anything out to Doha, Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. We've even sent 200 street entertainers out on a private airplane to do the International Dubai Shopping Festival.
Now, you're based in Chester, aren't you? How did you get involved in this? Is it always been?
We're based in Cheshire. We're based in Cheshire, just near Sandbach. We established ourselves here just at the turn of the last century, just over 100 years ago, when Bob Gandy was on his way back from pantomime and his vehicle broke down on the A50 in Cheshire. And we've been based here ever since. We have a very large farm here, and we have a big mill out in Cheshire, in Congleton, in Cheshire, where our main offices are, which support and create all the productions that are sent all over the world, employing a team of about 50 people.
Now, Cirque du Soleil, everybody knows, and everybody knows it's gone bankrupt because of the coronavirus. How has it affected yourselves?
Well, we were actually on tour at the start of the year. We'd opened at Aintree Racecourse, and we moved down to Stoke-on-Trent. And then in March, after being open for about 3 weeks, we were forced to close as the COVID crisis happened. Some other circuses had been prepared and rehearsed but hadn't opened the season yet, but we had. There are currently between 35 and 40 circuses shut down across the UK. None of us have received any funding from the state, although initially £160 million was given to the arts for emergency funding. However, none of that money has found its way through to British Circus.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's an overlook, or do you think it's going on the buildings?
Well, the reason mainly is because circus in this country is not seen as an art form. Across the world it is, as in Cirque du Soleil, and a lot of government support and fund a lot of shows. Circus in other countries are valued alongside opera and ballet, and those countries provide funding, rehearsal spaces, equipment and training. Circus was developed in the UK 252 years ago. We recently celebrated the 250th anniversary of circus, created by a chap from Staffordshire called Philip Astley. So we initiated it as an art form, but we get ignored and devalued today.
Why do you think that is?
I think people see arts and culture as things like theatre and ballet and opera, whereas the circus is probably one of the first forms of entertainment that you take your family to. It's good, clean fun, it's affordable. A big top will be set up in a town that possibly doesn't have a theatre, and we go to the people as opposed to people travelling 50 miles radius to come and see us in a theatre, which is often in a city centre site, crammed in a Victorian building. Now, one of the big advantages we have with a big top is it's not a theatre building. We can socially distance, and we can open with reduced seating. We can open up the side walls and use many entrances and exits. We have all the facilities are outside. The box office is outside. Merchandise, catering, multiple mobile toilets are all outside. And we're clearly not a permanent structure with fixed seatings and toilets cramped under a stairwell, like a theatre. Many of the theatres were opened up in Victorian times and were built to get as many seats as possible into the building. And then afterwards, things like entrances, exits, cellings and toilets were an afterthought. So, literally, if you go to a theatre, there's one way in your section of seats and one way out, and it's down a row. and we've all been there where people have to stand up and everyone goes, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. That is not going to cope with social distancing. In a big top, all our seating is adjustable. Our seating can be made, we can have gangways. Once the floorway is in, you can have as many gangways as you want. And we could open in 14 days if we got a green light from the government.
How easy do you think it would be to persuade the government to give you that crucial green light? And are you able to operate abroad at the moment?
We wouldn't want to operate abroad with this unit. We've got other units. Everywhere in Europe is opening up. Europe, across the world, the circus productions are opening up. It's only England that isn't, because we're being classed as a theatre. And yet, what's the difference between opening up a pub and letting them put a small marquee outside to cover space, as opposed to us opening up a circus tent, which is a bigger marquee, and socially distancing? We have all the facilities. All our seats are plastic, and we can disinfect all the time. We can disinfect the toilets because they're individual mobile toilets. All this we can do. We can provide hand wash stations. We can provide an easy one-way system in a tensile structure, and yet we're not allowed to open because we're being classed as a theatre. However, people are letting people come to these drive-in shows, these, play football now. It's so many of the things that are allowed that we just feel it's very unfair that, circus is such a rich and diverse cultural performance. There's no language. No language required, no speaking required, everything's pre-recorded, and its heritage spans centuries, and it's constantly circus is having to reinvent itself artistically and logistically to changing trends. And we still attract an audience from all areas of the country who've got no or little access to live entertainment. So, we make it affordable. We at Gandeys Circus give away over 15,000 tickets a year to charitable companies. We raise across the shows over £100,000 a year for hospitals, including Alder Hey, the Edinburgh Children's Hospital, Birmingham Children's Hospital. Wherever we're in a city, wherever it is, we leave something behind and give something back to the community. And yet, the government overlooks us and sees us as a lower class of art form and doesn't help us at all.
How much does it bring in then for the economy, the circus, do you reckon?
Hundreds of thousands of pounds. On 40 shows, hundreds of thousands of pounds in VAT, in business tax. We have to pay for our artists. We have to pay for the visitors. We have to pay the health insurance so that they're covered if they're coming in from abroad to use to use facilities. We have to pay their insurance, their public liability. It's probably a couple of thousand, £2,500 per person to bring them into the UK to make sure they're covered under health insurance so that if anything happens, it doesn't cost anybody anything. We do that across the board, and yet when things like this happen, because they're foreign entertainers, they're not entitled to any public funds. So we basically have to look after everybody and make sure that they've got showers, make sure that they've got access to the internet so they can speak to their family at home in whichever country they're at, and to make sure that they're happy and they're fed and they're warm. So we have to do that. We're not putting a begging bowl out, but theatres are having all this funding, and now £1.6 billion has been announced today to support them. Again, we don't have anything. We're not going to get a look in. We're not even mentioned. Circus in the UK has celebrated its 250th anniversary 2 years ago. The way things are going, circus will die in the UK in 2020. This will be the death of British circus unless the government actually steps up to help us.
How important is, say, like Circus Soleil, which has gone on there, from other governments supporting? Because Circus Soleil, you would have thought, would be supported because it's such a big name.
Cirque du Soleil is supported massively. It's a Canadian-based company by the Canadian government. It's been bailed out several times. It has contracts and basically it has subsidy all over the world to perform. Our productions don't. Our productions go all over the world, to Hong Kong, to the UAE, to Singapore. Wherever we're asked to send a show for the government, we send it. And when we go, everything is on us. We get no support from the UK government. Although we work with the Department of International Trade, the government body, we don't get support to send these shows across the world. We are approached by either a private promoter or a company to send the show abroad, and that's what we do. Because often, in the autumn periods, the weather in the UK isn't the best. We have a name for providing world-class entertainment, and have done for well over 40 years. We've been sending shows abroad, although we've been established for over 100 years. But it's so important to keep the name, and everything we do is all comes back to the UK. This is the UK registered company. We're based in the northwest of England. We've been here for 100 years, and we intend to stay here, but we're just not getting any assistance.
If you're down in London, do you think it would be the same, or do you think it's because you're based?
I think if we were down in London, I think people would see it as a different category, because the biggest circus base, people would expect, why aren't you based in London? Well, because we're northwest. We're from the northwest. 5 generations. All of us live in the northwest here. All the main team. It's our home. We've always said it. When we opened Ashley Banjo's Diversity tour in 2018 in the Big Top, we insisted it was opened at the Trafford Centre in Manchester, not in London, which is where everyone else wanted to open it. But we always open our shows. We open Gandeys Circus at Aintree Racecourse every year. This is our home, the Northwest. We open it and we close the show here. It's our tradition, and we'll always do it. The Northwest is our home.
Now, this year, you've also had a double whammy, because at the beginning of the year, if I remember rightly, didn't you have a problem with Aintree Racecourse?
Yeah, at the start of the year, the weather at Aintree Racecourse, of course, we had the storm came, and we lost 2 weekends of shows. We had to drop everything for our team's safety and the customer safety, so we lost 10 shows. Then we had to put it all back up and open again, and the weather was just horrendous. But we've never had that before. Normally we open at Aintree and the weather's reasonable. We don't expect that rain. It's sheltered, but gosh, the storm came this year, so it's been a double whammy for us. We lost a lot of the show from the storm at the opening, which is when we're spending all the money to get everything ready, the new production, the new costumes, the new music and everything. And then we moved to Newcastle in Staffordshire. Had to shut after the COVID after 8 days, and we still got 10 days to go there, where we do normally sell out and do very well there. We're very, very busy there normally.
So summer is a vital time for you to trade, because you can't really operate as easily over the winter period.
Well, the summer itself, not so much for us, because what we do is we tour the spring tour, which runs from February until June. Then we have 3 complete large units, which we have other artists coming in from all over the world, and we work for Bourne Leisure. So we put the 3 main circuses into Butlins at Skegness, Minehead and Bognor. Now these are big 1,000-seat theatres, big tops, which we assemble fully floored and everything, which seat 1,000 people and pay 2 to 3 shows a day and sell out in Butlins. So they're there for about 2 or 3 months until first week of September. Then we do another 10-week tour, autumn tour in September, October, and then in November everything is shipped off to wherever the show is going, whether it's the United Arab Emirates, whether it's going to Singapore, or if we have 2 or 3 units out, everything is sent out. It takes 3 or 4 weeks to get there on the boat. The artists have a few weeks off, and then they fly in from wherever in the world they've gone back to, and we start again with rehearsals and open another production halfway across the world. That's what we do. But a lot of English circuses will tour in the UK from sort of March until end of normally bonfire night, about November, and then we'll perhaps do a little Christmas show somewhere. But it's the whole thing. The fact is this is a UK industry, and it's in dire straits. Over 40 shows employing hundreds and hundreds of people. We're not getting any help or support.
Can you actually look at, say, support from other countries, maybe? Would that, like the European Union, maybe?
No. They won't. In Europe, all the circuses are supported. In the UK, there is no support and never has been for British Circus. Even when we were in the EU, France, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Spain, all get subsidies, all get grants and money and no interest loans for equipment. We get nothing in the United Kingdom. We never have done. We're self-funded and self-supported and always have been. And they've been going for 250 years, so we must be doing something right, and there must be an audience. But it's now, we can't have an audience because of the coronavirus and the lockdown. we're being penalised, and we should be allowed to open up because we can open up with social distancing. We can open up with affordable show as opposed to big, expensive theatre tickets, and we can literally it's a movable tensile structure, so we can operate where other theatres can't.
How do you think Brexit's going to impact as well on it?
Well, that's something that's going to obviously make a difference because we have a lot of acts and workers that come in from Europe, but a lot of our team have been with us for so long. We employ several hundred people at the height of the season, and which most of them are artists that come from places outside the EU anyway, from Cuba, from wherever the current artists are coming from, all over the world. So because of that, it won't affect us in the production, but it does affect us on our touring team, because a lot of our drivers and everything and the management team are from Europe. So it's going to make a lot more work for everybody. But, it's just what we can't do anything about it. That's the way it is.
One of the groups you're dealing with is the Chinese State Circus. Have you seen any problems because of the word China in it?
Well, no, because it's not touring. It hasn't toured. Last time it toured in the UK was 2018, a unit. So we owned and created the Chinese State Circus nearly 30 years ago. And that is our brand name. We own it. Nobody else can tour it. And units appear all over the world under the brand, the Chinese State Circus. But no, there's no show in the UK at the moment. No theatre tour out. There will be in a couple of years' time. But at the moment, there's no production. We own many show names and many shows. But the Chinese State Circus, what happens is our producers, Carol and Philip Gandy, will fly out to China. We'll select one of the acrobatic troupes in cooperation with the Chinese government. They will then be commissioned. 30-strong team are brought into wherever we are. The show is whichever country the show is in. And that includes doctors, physiotherapists, managers, translators, interpreters, everything. There's a complete production that then will appear. We book the route and appear the show all over wherever we are, whichever country we're in. But that is not in the UK and hasn't been in the UK since 2018.
So, as a circus, it's not just the acts then that you support. It's also a whole raft of other people.
Yeah, we've got theatre technicians, we've got lighting designers, sound teams, we have all the music specially written and recorded for us, we have a complete electrical company that basically puts in all the latest sound, lighting, lasers and everything. We tour as much equipment on one of the Gandeys shows as you would see in any West End theatre, apart from the fact that we have to put all the cabling in, the whole lot. We have to make what is basically a greenfield site into a theatre, complete with flooring, carpeting, and the latest lighting, lasers, effects and everything, and sound equipment that's all directional. So, we have a big team of probably 20 people that are involved in that under several managers. We have a full event team to make sure everyone's safe and make sure all the latest health and safety regulations are adhered to. We have the latest training for that every year, and we have a team that then is responsible for the actual moving and setting up and dismantling of the equipment. So, the crew is numbering about 60 people on each production.
So, how easy is it for them to get support? Can they individually get support from the government?
Most of them are all self-employed, so the only support they'll get if they're self-employed is a percentage of their profit. But obviously, if you're self-employed, everyone knows that if you earn X amount a year, you still have expenses like your vehicles, your costumes, your equipment, your accommodation, your fuel to move between. So the profit you make isn't anywhere near what you actually get paid because you pay tax on that. So it's normally, it's been very difficult for a lot of people who are self-employed, whatever business they're in. If you're a plumber, you've still got your van. By the time you've taken off your cost of your van and your equipment and your tools and everything else, it doesn't leave a lot of profit. And unfortunately, the government's only paying a percentage of the profit for self-employed people.
Well, thank you. I hope this gets resolved shortly. Have you been in touch with your MP, by the way?
Our company has been in touch with our MPs. We're consistently in touch with the MP. We're talking to the national government. We're advising government bodies about the ongoing situation. We're giving them all the information we can. We've taken all the latest COVID training. All our team have. We've put in all these measures in place. But yes, our senior management and executive team are on a day-to-day basis talking to MPs, government bodies, government registered companies that will support and help us in this task, which is a massive task. So yeah, our company is very well established for a long time. We work a lot with the government bodies, so we are asking, but the problem is you've got to get the right person to hear you, and often it's not your local MP, unfortunately.
Well, definitely good luck. Is there any way people can get in touch and offer support for yourselves?
They can find us at Gandeys Circus on Facebook and on social media, and it's Gandeys. Everyone spells that wrong. Gandeys Circus, and obviously, any support, any statement support, is appreciated. But our Facebook site is the main site. We have over 40,000 followers on there that are supporting us, and we're doing stuff for them, like doing weekly quizzes with some of the artists and that. And our social media site is very, very busy. We get a reach of about 100,000 people a week, so we're very busy. So we keep that active and make sure people know where we are if they want to send us a message.
Well, once again, thank you for your time and good luck.
All right, I appreciate that. Thanks ever so much for your help.